gentlemen. My name is Martin Lemieux, and it is an honor and a pleasure to be here tonight to help you celebrate the 2018 4A Provincial Champions, Miller Marauders. Before we say grace, I'd like to direct your attention to the playing cards that are on the table. You all saw when I walked by and I handed you a playing card. When that playing card gets called, it'll be your table's turn to go up to the menu, to the buffet line over there, and help yourselves to dinner. All right, so everybody's got a card on their table? Yes? Yes. Good. Thank you. All right, I would like to call upon Tucker King to come and say grace.
Please join me in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Thank you, Lord, for the blessings that you continue to bestow on our Miller community. You have provided us with many blessings this football season. We have been surrounded by coaches, team managers, trainers, and parents who have taught us, challenged us, and cared for us. You have given us teammates who are also special friends, and together this season we have made memories that will forever be treasured. Thank you, Lord, for your continued guidance. We have grown and matured as a team and used our gifts and talents as our seniors come to the end of their high school football careers. Our Miller Marauders, as we come to their end of their high school football experience, we ask that your grace will be continued guide of their good choices. Lord, be with all of our Miller Marauders as we are reminded just how fortunate we are, never allowing any of us to forget to show gratitude and acts of kindness. Thank you, Lord, for the opportunity to share this time together as a team, and bless this food we are about to share. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit.
Thank you, Tucker. Our supper tonight, of course, has been prepared by our superstar chef, Martin Turcotte. There's Martin over there. Let's give him a hand. Those of you who have had dinner here before know how good it's going to be, so we'll be sure to remind him later how much we appreciated it. With that in mind, let's get some tables going, shall we? To introduce our guest speaker this evening. And just in the name of being prepared and trying to be as professional as I could, I thought I'd do a little bit of research. So of course I did like everybody does nowadays, and I went to Google. And when I typed in the name that I was given, it returned a number of different definitions. So Wikipedia described the individual as a former Costa Rican footballer, which is a soccer player. I figured that wasn't our guy. Then there was something called RateMyTeachers.com, which described a geography professor at John Abbott College in Montreal. I figured that wasn't our guy either. Then there's something called RateMDs.com. And it described the individual as a very helpful, kind, and a good family doctor in Redcliffe, Queensland. Couldn't have been our guy. And the last one was IMDb.com, which is the Internet Movie Database. And it described the individual as a Hollywood production designer and film art director. So I knew that that wasn't the guy that we were having here tonight. So then I went to the Regina Rams website, and I talked to a few individuals that I know in the football community, and I came up with the following. Stephen Bryce is a former player with the Regina Rams, playing for 5 seasons and helping the program win a national championship in 1987, his first year with the team. He went on to play for 4 years at Jamestown College, where he graduated with a Bachelor of Arts in 1997, with an emphasis on human biology. He continued his education at Cal State San Bernardino, receiving a Bachelor of Science in Geology in 2015. Following a successful high school coaching career in California, Bryce returned home to Regina, winning a city title as the offensive coordinator for the RMF Bantam Eagles in 2015. 6 of our players here this evening were also members of that Eagles team. Steve was then hired in March 2016 as the head coach at the University of Regina Rams and promptly led the team to a first-place finish in the West with a 6-2 record, earning top honors as Canada West Coach of the Year. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you Coach Stephen Bryce.
What an honor here to be speaking in front of the Miller Marauders, the provincial champions. So it's my honor to get a chance to talk to you. It's not too often you get to talk to a team who is top 10 in the nation. So congratulations on that. It's quite an honor, quite an award. And it's a team that I have had a lot of links to and a lot of ties to over the years, from the coaching staff to the players as well. Starting with the coaching staff, some of the ties that I've had over the years, even though I've been away in California for 18 years, most of my friends still remain in Regina. And most of my ties that have held my friendship strong come from football and come from my relationships from the Rams. Talk about your head coach first, Dean Coos. I first met Dean Coos when I was 16 years old. And I think there was probably the majority of my adult life, I would probably have been embarrassed to tell this story. Because where I met Dean Coos, you remember where it was, Dean? I met Dean Coos, I got a job at McDonald's on Albert North. And as a young person, just trying to make some money, and I walk in the back door my first day at work, and Dean Coos was working the Big Mac grill. And he introduced himself, actually a really nice guy, I liked him. And both of our careers were pretty short at McDonald's. We had a good time there. I actually think, in this day and age, I think that parents do a disservice to their kids to not have them work a job like that. I look back at my experience working that job at $4.25 an hour as a very good experience. I even think of some of the people that I worked with at McDonald's. And you know, there's a city councilor right now, there's a scientist working for the provincial government. There's just kind of a who's who of young people who became conscientious leaders in their fields, and they all started out working those jobs that most young people nowadays wouldn't even consider working. I think that's the part of growing up that's missed nowadays, where kids, and their parents don't want them to work those jobs. But I think it was a formative experience for me, and I think that if you have the opportunity, do the dirty work, do the menial job, do the little things, and you meet people like Dean Coos, which is actually a good thing. Now Dean, even though that career path ended pretty quickly, Dean and I were able to reconnect a few years later on the Rams. Dean and I played football together, and we've kind of known and stayed in touch with each other ever since. Another coach that's at Miller that I have a connection with is Colin Erickson. And Colin and I remember my very first meeting with Colin. I don't know, I've been hit in the head a whole bunch of times. I had 4 concussions as a player, but for some reason I had this eidetic memory. I can remember that first time I met Colin, I was in grade 10, he was in grade 11. We had just won the provincial championships at O'Neill, and Colin was the all-star running back for Campbell High School. And Colin was the first one at the hall that night for the awards ceremony, and I was the second one there, and I didn't know anybody, and Colin came up and introduced himself. And I remember how gracious this guy, and I didn't know him from anybody, and just a little punk from O'Neill High School. Here's this big-time running back from Campbell. And I remembered it from that time on, and I just thought of him as a very genuinely nice person. And we got a chance to play as teammates with the Rams, and some of my proudest moments were blocking for Colin, who was the nation's leading rusher when he played for the Rams, and an all-star there as well. 2 times in my life I thought I was going to be cut from the Rams. The first time was my first year, and I was an undersized O-lineman, and they hadn't made all the final cuts. They started cutting players from the team, and they had their line set. And so I was a backup, and all they had said is, Steve, go down there and snap the ball to Dean Hickton. He was the all-Canadian quarterback at the time. And then all the other position coaches were making their cuts and create the depth chart. I think because I was down snapping the ball just for drill, for reps for the quarterback, they forgot about me. I think they probably were going to cut me. And so I got to stick on the team just because I think that I flew under the radar, but I took advantage of my opportunity. And I worked as hard as I could, in season and out of season. I was addicted to the weight room and ended up earning a starting spot shortly after. And that's what some of my proudest moments blocking for Colin. The second time I thought I was going to be cut from the Rams, I don't even know if Colin remembers this, it was back in the day when we were training for a season. We didn't spend the entire off season. Some of us were in the gym all the time and some of us weren't. It was actually a lot fewer of us were in the gym all the time. And we didn't start doing running programs like you guys do today. We didn't start doing all of the elegant speed, conditioning, and power stuff. You know, there's some guys who do bench press, some guys who do squats. And Colin and another friend of ours, Wally Sitch, we met at the clubhouse and we just decided to do some sprints a couple of weeks before the season started. And Colin was actually he was a jokester at the time. He's actually a really good sense of humor and a funny guy. And Colin, we were running down the field, and Colin came over and hip checked me and tripped me. Okay, Colin, that's good. I'll get you back. And then about 2 more 40s later, I do the exact same thing back to him. Meanwhile, he is the all-Canadian leading rusher in the country, and I do the same thing to him. And Colin rolls over on his back and grabs his knee and starts screaming in pain, I thought he tore his ACL, and I did it to him. I turned to Wally and said, I'm done. I'm getting cut. And he started laughing at me right after that. The third person that I've had a relationship with on the coaching staff is Steve Sombach. And I remember the very first time I met Steve Sombach. It was coaching the Eagles, and I knew Steve's brother. I played rugby with Steve's brother, Mark. And Steve came over and he was introduced to me by a mutual friend, Tim McFadden. And Steve found out I was going to be the offensive coordinator. He said, what kind of offense do you run? That's why I've run the spread offense. I kind of installed a spread in California, and we had one of the most prolific offenses in the state for 4 years straight. And Steve's response was, spread's dead. No good. Spread's dead. That's all he said. Oh, that's a nice guy. And as the season went on, he kind of warmed up to me a little bit. He was running drills, and I think we got pounded our first game. We played that Lumsden team, and they beat the heck out of us. Our biggest kid on our team was our quarterback, and Steve's kind of shaking his head. Yep, spread's dead. And that little group of athletes that we had on the Eagles, a whole bunch of them are here today, and I got a chance to see you guys develop. Carson Sombach, Emmett Stedman, Dylan Kiefer, Chris Lowry, and Tucker King. And if I forgot anybody, I really apologize. Those are names of the Eagles that stuck out. Did I miss anybody that played the Eagles? Go, come on. Sorry. Well, at the end of the season, all that little group of athletes who just played with a ton of heart and just continue to get better and take the coaching and continue to work and progress. By the end of the year, we beat Yorkton for the city championship. And I asked Steve at the end, I remember what our first discussion was. I said, so what do you think of the spread now? And he goes, well, your spread's not dead. So, for some reason, first meetings kind of strike me as memorable. Football is all about brotherhood. The people that you're sitting with now, the people that you played with this year, you formed relationships, and those relationships just weren't on the field. There were things you did in the weight room, things you did in the locker room, things you did at home on the weekend. It's all the time and the bonds that you form together that make football what it is. Football, in my opinion, it's the most special sport because it requires such intimate intertwining of destinies, and what you do together and how you work together is so interrelated. And we're dependent upon one another, and it creates these bonds, both emotional and physical bonds that people have, and it really is a brotherhood that sticks with us. Even right before I was getting up here, my best friend who played beside me on the Rams was texting me and said, hey, I'm talking at Miller right now, I can't chat right now. So these are guys that I've been friends with for 30 years because we played football together. I don't think there's a sport out there that keeps people together like football does. In fact, I think the only thing you can do in life that's somewhat simulates what we do in football as far as forming a brotherhood would be, and I know this because I've had former players go and do this, and it's go to war. When I was in California, I had a number of my former players had joined the military and had served overseas, and they would come back, and I'd stay in contact with them even to this day, and they'd tell me the brotherhood we get, that band of brotherhood is very similar when you're in a foxhole together, when you're in a dugout together, as it is when you're on the football field together. I mentioned some of the players that I coached on the on the Eagles first. And I saw some of the character and discipline and hard work that those guys developed over 4 years since we played together, since we were a team together. And what a great opportunity it was to see you guys develop as a group of football players. Then I got to meet a whole bunch more of you and your friends. I think almost all of the ones that played on the Eagles also played on the Select, so I got a chance to coach you guys for 2 seasons. Then we added names like Luke and Isaac and Cloud and Vibrant and Poissant. So we got to meet a whole bunch of the players that played for Miller. And I'll tell you another thing that I told Dean Coos, and the thing that struck me about my discussion with Dean at the beginning of this year, once I saw how they played last year, and I saw them at the Shimco, and saw how you guys have played together, I said, when this group gets to grade 12 together this season, if this group doesn't win the provincial championship, you need to turn in your whistle. Because that's a really talented group of high school football players. You get to keep your whistle for 1 more year, Dean. No, the other thing that it strikes me about football is what it gives you as far as your hard work and your discipline. And I look at some of the people, I wouldn't be where I am today if it wasn't for football and my experiences here. Football's the only reason I went to school in the first place. I didn't go to university except to keep playing when I was done playing for the Rams. It provided opportunities and opened doors for me, and I kicked them open and took advantage of every opportunity that was given to me, and it was football that played a huge role in doing that. I look at some of the people that I played with and where they are now and the jobs that they do, many lawyers, former professional football players, oil executives, a former Ram who went to Miller who probably has $100 million in his bank account, and he lives in Calgary now. It's like some of the most elite business owners in and around southern Saskatchewan are people that play football. I think it gives you something special. I think the thing that is unique about football, and it's a quote that I stole and I've probably modified it, and I'm still not going to call it my own, it's the greatest part about football isn't what you get from it, it's what you become because of it. And I'd say that I am what I am because of football. I would leave you with one bit of advice. This isn't a commencement speech, but I would say as you move forward through life, find a way to embrace the grind. You guys have all heard that saying, you see memes about it on Twitter and on Facebook. I would say find a way to get comfortable being uncomfortable. That's what separates the good from the great. Plenty of you are good football players. Some of you are going to go on to play for the Rams, some will be playing for the Thunder, some might go south. And I hope you all have the best career you can. Some of you might be done playing football for life now. Some of my best friends are guys that I played football with in high school and never played after. But whatever you do, make sure that you try to embrace that grind and really take advantage of the opportunity and be gritty. It's what separates that mediocre guy from that great guy. And it's what makes you special. It is one of the things that coaches are looking for in the recruitment process. We want to find players that are gritty and tough. So do that no matter what you're doing, no matter what your endeavor. Try to find a way to be gritty. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach Price. Next on our program is our Player Award presentation. Mr. Stu, if I could get you to come up here and give us a hand in sorting all this out. I would like to call upon Mr. Corey Balaberta, who's a teacher here at Miller and our linebackers coach, to present the Rookie of the Year Award.
My name is Corey Alberta, and I'm here to present the Rookie Award. I'd like to start this award with a quote. So the quote is, "Luck is a matter of preparation, meeting opportunity." So this was my first year as a coach for the Mill Marauders football team. One would call me the rookie coach. This was my third year as a football coach. I am proud to say that I have now been a part of 2 provincial championship teams. With only 3 years experience, this is very lucky. I am honored yet again to work alongside such amazing players and coaches. Recently, I have been called the good luck charm. However, like the quote I started with, luck is a matter of preparation, meeting opportunity. The player I'm going to present this award to has never shied away from proper preparation. Every practice, he would work his hardest. When it came time for opportunity, he would fly through the gap and make the tackle. This young man was always prepared and never scared of an opportunity to play, even though he may be a little short. Therefore, I am not the lucky charm. Each and every one of you are why we won this championship. I'm just proud to be part of it. Congratulations to Liam Yates.
Congratulations, Liam. Next up, I would like to call upon Coach Kevin Payson to present the Defensive Lineman of the Year Award.
So this young man that I had the opportunity to coach, he was new to me as a coach. I've been here 4 years, but I've never coached him. He got fired from the linebackers because he sucked. That's a joke. I'm just kidding. He was given to me, and like this kid showed me, he listened to what he had to say, but what I had to say, which was nice. He did what I asked him to do. He never complained about anything. We would work these guys to the bone, and he was just a phenomenal athlete on the field. As a defensive end, there's 2 things you have to do. One is make the quarterback afraid, so he throws the ball up, and the other is you got to stop people from running outside. 2 very difficult things to do, and he did it very well. He did it to our amazement how good he really was. So I'd like to congratulate Chris Lowry.
Next up, I'd like to call upon Gene Mikowski, Offensive Line Coach, to present the Offensive Line of the Year Award.
Hi everyone, pleasure to be here as always. When you have a provincial championship team, you probably have a good bunch of players. But again, we had a good bunch on the O-line. They cared about doing things right. They're always asking questions. We're watching film quite often, and those are the little things you got to do to get to the next level and get over the hump. as we did this year. We have 4 seniors on the team, and we wish, of course, all the seniors on the team good luck in your future endeavors. Young guys, as Coach Bryce said, again, the weight room, that's going to be your best friend come next football season. The offensive lineman of this year is the same as last year, Ethan Vibert. I don't believe he's here tonight, but Ethan has all the things you look for in a lineman. He's big, he's physical, he's smart, works extremely hard, and he has a bit of a mean streak to him. So expect a bright future for him in the next few years. So thanks, guys, and we'll see you next year.
Thank you, Coach. Next up, I'd like to call upon Coach Steve Sombach to present the Dr. Paul Schwann Memorial Trophy. I would also like to call upon Ms. Lisa Schwann, daughter of the late Dr. Schwann, of whom the award is in honor of.
It's funny that Lisa Schwann and I go way back. She remembered me, but her best friend is my cousin, so we just had a little moment at the table. Dr. Paul Schwann, as you know, is what our conference is named after. A very reputable surgeon and doctor in the city for a very long time, instrumental in being a booster to this league. Not only just Schwann, but as well as Regina High School football. His wife and Lisa's mother passed away mid-season, and it was a big deal for us to be able to send some players to have an honor guard? Is that what you call it? Honor guard at her funeral, which is a real touching moment. Dr. Paul Schwann's award has been around for 40 years? Since 1974, and it's been awarded to the Schwann Conference football player that has the most desire to succeed. I think us as coaches, we know that it's very, very difficult to pick somebody from a provincial championship team that does not qualify for that. So one of the things with award dinners, we have to pick an award winner, but we did pick 2. So the first one, the short little fat guy that coached me, he's 9 years old, he knows who he is, stand up. Yeah, you. And the other guy was a great baseball player. Stand up. Luke. Luke Gordon and Dennis Stebbins come forward to receive this award.
Thank you, Coach, Ms. Schwann. Next, I'd like to call upon myself to present the Benny Shimko Award. As if you haven't heard enough of me already. The Benny Shimko Award is awarded every year at Miller to the player who shows commitment to the team and loyalty. Now again, on a provincial championship team, as Coach Sombach just mentioned, it takes more than one player, obviously, to make things go. But to me, the measure of a player who's committed and loyal is always to think about who's going to be that guy next year. And if you can answer that question, you know who your next leader is going to be. This young man has been in this program for all 4 years of his high school, and he's the one who's organized all the off-season workout. He's the one who brought the players together, not necessarily always by chirping or by being the most vocal leader, but just by example. He played on offense, he played on defense, he played some special teams. He pretty much never left the field. He got banged up here and there, but never complained, and never took a play off. So the recipient of the Banquet Award this year is Carson Sombak. Congratulations, Carson. Next up, I would like to call upon Coach Colin Erickson, who's our running backs coach, to present the Coaches Award.
Good evening, everybody. I am super privileged to be able to present this next award to not one but two players. The Coaches Award is given each year to the player or players that exemplify the team-first attitude. These players are players that do whatever is asked of them at any time in order to contribute to the success of the team. The Marauder team this year had many of these types of players. So it was very difficult to narrow this down to one, and we just couldn't get to one, so we have two recipients tonight. The recipients this year were asked to take on many different roles and play multiple positions. In some cases, they never left the field for long periods of time, which we all know can be very exhausting. They each played on both sides of the ball and contributed greatly to our team's success. They were both leaders by the example that they provided through their own efforts. One was a quiet leader, and the other was both quiet and vocal when required. There was never a complaint heard from either of these players, as they did whatever they were asked to do. Sometimes players are recognized for the statistics and the numbers that they put up. How many touchdowns, receptions, yards rushing or receiving, how many tackles or how many sacks. The Coaches Award goes beyond statistics to the person.
We won't talk about the rest of the season, that's hearsay. For the playoffs, I thought that was a pretty good stat. And I'm not a stats guy, but that definitely wins you provincials with a stat like that. So I'm presenting the Defensive Player Award. What we look for as coaches for the Defensive Player Award is, like Coach Bryce was saying, someone who's gritty, someone who knows what they need to do and the job they need to do to get it done. Not necessarily doing what they're supposed to be doing, but making plays on the defense. And that's an important part of being a defensive player, going hard, trying your best, well, most of the time anyway, and making plays. So, this particular player played offense and defense, so it's kind of tough coaching defensively when a player's on offense, because offense gets all the time in the world to coach up their guys, and defense can kind of get taken for granted. But in saying that, this player on defense came, didn't have much preparation, but was able to come in and play. Now, we didn't really see him as a defensive player most of the time, but the last couple of years he's stepped up and played his position well and made plays. So, does everybody know who it is yet? Isaac, come on down. Isaac just informed me he wants to play defense. That's it now, he's done with offense.
Congratulations, Isaac. Thank you, Mr. Stu. Last but not least is our last individual award for the team's most valuable player. I'd like to call upon Mr. Dean Coos, our head coach and offensive coordinator, to present this award.
Thank you. It is my honor to present the team MVP award. This was the easiest choice that the coaches had over all the awards because we didn't actually get to pick this one. It's chosen by the players and voted by the players. So that means it's chosen by your teammates who recognize the impact that you have. The players got this one right when they voted for this young man as MVP. In my 28 years of coaching football, I can say I've only seen a handful of players with his exceptional ability. He is so smooth, he is so elusive, he is so creative. He can catch, he can throw, he can kick. He is also very humble and kind, and a leader by example. He's incredibly intelligent, and all the trainers say he's very handsome. As voted by your teammates, it's my honor to present the team MVP to Kieran Poisson.
You good, Dad? You good? Okay. Congratulations, Kieran. Coach, please don't go too far. Since Coach Coos is already up here, we're going to ask for his head coach's remarks.
Thanks, Marty. Well, you know, my name is Dean Coos, and I'm very proud and honored to be the head coach of this team. I told the boys before the provincial final that success happens when opportunity meets effort. Corey, has nothing to do with luck, but it's okay, we're young, we're learning. This season is a prime example of just that. A whole lot of effort by many different people, all working hard towards a common goal, is the reason for our success. I would just like to take a minute to recognize and thank the special efforts of everyone involved. First of all, if I mention your guys' names, you can probably stand up to be recognized, please. My coaching staff. We could have not had a more dedicated and committed group of guys. Your knowledge and commitment is second to none. More importantly, I want to thank their wives and their girlfriends for allowing them time away. Countless hours are dedicated to football. And I think you guys can go over and give your wives a big hug and a kiss. Give them one for me. Unless they want their own. They can see me after. So there's one.
Oh, you mean now?
I mean right now. All right. I think you deserve a lot more being married that way.
Hey, now your girlfriend.
To the parents, I want to thank you for your support in raising such fine young men for us to work with. To Mr. Doug Horning, our photographer, head barbecue, chef extraordinaire, thank you for all you've done for the program. To our team owner, Aubrey Stedman. Miller's program is very unique for two reasons. One of them is we managed to run an incredible program and only charge around $200 per player to play on the team. Other comparable programs are over $800. Everyone's fees are down due to the generosity and anonymous support from Aubrey. When he told me about this 3 years ago, he totally wanted it to be under the table, no recognition given, but I believe in giving credit where credit is due. In the past 3 years, Aubrey has donated $15,000 to this team to purchase equipment for players, helmets, shoulder pads, balls, step over bags, jerseys. Aubrey, the team's buying you a leather coat with owner on the sleeve. To show our appreciation. And on that note, I might as well mention that as Emmett's leaving and moving, I'm assuming the team is up for sale. So if anyone is interested, please see me after. We have a price and we can be bought. The second reason why the Marauders are unique is because we're the only program that I know of that implements the King Devitt concussion protocol test to its players. This is due to our awesome medical staff that we have in Dr. Dale Gertz and Dr. Sylvia Van Tony. They come to every practice, or practices whenever I call them, and after a long day's work, they still come out and look after our kids. And no other team has this kind of dedicated medical staff. Unfortunately, they're not here tonight, but I'll pass on the thanks. And on that note, I want to thank Miss Jensen and the girls, Mrs. Jensen, sorry, and the girls for all they do with the training program. They do everything from taping to hauling water to running across the street to buying me sunflower seeds. Thank you so much. To the chef. To Chef Turkov. The chef feeds us every game day. The boys are well looked after. And I truly believe that a team that eats together like that becomes like a family. So thank you, Chef. I really value and cherish our friendship. I don't know if you're here, you're probably doing dishes. Our special guests, Steve Bryce and Mr. Jack McNeil. Our special guest, Jack, coordinated the summer running program. He taught 8 of our guys how to become faster. So thank you very much, Jack. To Perry and Brady, who look after the equipment needs of the players and do laundry for every game, making sure we look good so that we play good. And finally, to Miss Donnelly and Mr. Lusick for their continued support for Marauder football. This event tonight would not be possible. Well, it wouldn't be possible, we would do it, but it would not be this costly, trust me. Without Mrs. Donnelly. She's the one who makes sure everything is perfect. Thank you very much. Good night, and God bless.
Thank you, Mr. Coos. Next, I would like to call upon our team captains for their address. Boys, come on up.
We as captains just want to say thank you to all the coaches individually for all the hard work they put in throughout this past season. I'm going to start with Mr. Hubick, our special teams coordinator. Mr. Hubick, we thank you for all your efforts in supporting this team. Special teams is not an easy job, and you excelled in keeping us organized and ensuring everybody knew their job on every special. Our special teams had some tough times, but you rallied us to become a dominant force later in our season. For all our work, we thank you.
On behalf of all the players, I would like to sincerely thank Gene Mikowski for his hard work and dedication to the Marauders. His expertise and experience gave us a big edge on the offensive line. We are very grateful for the countless hours you took out of your time to coach us. Thank you.
I'm here to thank Chris Stu. I thought I'd be the one to say it since he didn't name his kid after me. But thank you for volunteering so much of your time to our team with constant film at lunchtime and volunteering your time after school. You always prepared us for the upcoming games with great game plans. Even though we let up some points at the start of the season, we held the Bulls to 3 and Centennial to 0. Again, I just want to say thank you for preparing us, volunteering your time, and always put the players first.
I have the honor of saying a couple of words about Coach Lombach. I've known Coach Lombach for about 4 years. First time I met him, I was at SLX, one of the many teams he has coached. He has coached for over 20 years and has had the ability to coach so many young football players for over years, building a foundation for this team at Miller and many other teams. This year we were faced with an extremely great group of grade 12s, a handful of grade 11s, and a bunch of grade 10s. Coach Lombach has coached these young men into football players, his encouraging talks, and his great deal of football knowledge. As a grade 11, I am excited for next year and expecting to have the same result we had this year. All of us on the Miller football team are very thankful for your coaching, and us young players are looking forward to your coaching in the future.
I'd like to say a big thank you to Marty Lemieux. Marty has spent a countless number of hours organizing game film and making sure we are fully prepared for our opponents each week. He put his all into our team this year, even coming out early to stretch with the team before practices. Although he may have been doing this as a precaution to avoid pulling something while running drills, it was always fun seeing him in line with the boys. We appreciate the time and dedication you have put into this team and what you have done to help us reach our success.
I'd like to thank Matt Pfeiffer for the dedication he has put toward this program and all the players involved. Matt is a guy who was always there when anyone needed him and put countless hours into making us all better, while always saving time to go back and forth with Tucker. He's a real players coach and was always around to give you a good laugh. Matt carries with him lots of energy and passion for football, which helped this team win a championship. Speaking on behalf of the whole team, it was good to have Matt around, and everyone is very grateful for what he's done for us.
Alright, Coach Kevin, thank you for the past 4 years of your hard-taught football and dedication to this program. You have truly blessed me and many others around with your laughter, jokes, and most importantly, your passion for the game. You are a great coach, and I will never forget what you did for me as a defensive player. Thank you.
Coach Balaberga, thanks for everything. I especially appreciate you believing in us from the beginning and preaching to us that a provincial championship starts with the attitudes and practice and off the field. From the beginning of the season to the end, there was an energy shift. A different feeling carried throughout the halls, onto the practice field, and into the stadium. I believe the energy was always there with us, but your words brought out the true camaraderie in all of us. I would tell him to pat himself on the back, but we all know his lats are too enormous for him to do it himself. Thanks, Balaberga.
Thank you, Coach Erickson, for coming into our program the very first year and making a huge influence on our running backs. He taught us a lot of technique, proper technique. He always had good drills for us to do, and it was always something new every day. You always try to give the players their best opportunity to succeed and keep our heads in the game. Thank you.
Last but not least, I want to thank Mr. Cruz. Where do I start? You devoted countless hours into making this program what it is now, and as a team, we couldn't be more thankful. It all started with you. As head coach, you were the foundation of this program, and we couldn't have done any of this without you. I know we players may have been stubborn sometimes on the field, but we still followed your direction, and all of our work together has eventually paid off. The trophy speaks for itself. On behalf of this team, we thank you.
I would like to call upon the entire coaching staff to please come forward, as well as Mrs. Donnelly. Gentlemen, if I can get you to just line up in front of the stage here. Mrs. Donnelly is just presenting a card to each of the coaches. You want to stay over here, Coach? Coach Hubick, Coach Pfeiffer, Coach Erickson, Coach Payson, Coach Sombach, Coach Stu, Coach Mikowski, and more. Thank you. Before we go any further, I think some of the boys also have some presentations for the coaches. Thank you, coaches. You can stay here if you don't mind. Coach Cruz has just one more thing he'd like to say before we move on to presenting things to the players.
Yeah, I'm very sorry. I was very nervous that I forgot one part of my speech here. It was to thank Mr. Ferris. I just saw him here. Mr. Ferris and Barry Vandesite for doing our statistics. Thank you guys. It's a tough job, but someone has to sit up in those leather warm chairs up in Mosaic and watch the game. Thank you.
I would now like to call upon players, so I'm going to be calling you by name. I'm going to start with the grade 9s, and I would like you to come up to the front here and accept a gift from Mrs. Donnelly. Well, from the coaches too. And special thanks to Mr. Hornan for those gifts. Marshall Erickson, Ryan Mikowski, Ben Schmidt, and Lex Zitter. Take a good look at them, folks. These are the grade 9 players. They're our future medal. I bet they really regret joining our program this year and winning a provincial championship now. Don't you, boys? Grade 10. Connor Evans, Luca Garrett, Ethan Grabarczyk, Hunter Hubick, Nick Kalume, Ethan Kiefer, Bio Oris, Noah Roberts, Sam Power, Jake Semchuk, Trans Schontal, Connor Sombach, Ryler Sombach, Dylan Sombach, no, not Sombach, Stamen, Dylan Stamen. It's enough Sombachs. Josh Van Beetu, Austin Van de Syke, Cade Walbaum, and Liam Yates. These knuckleheads are also the future of Miller. As grade 10, we got them for another 2 years. And when I say knuckleheads, I mean that as a term of endearment, of course. Grade 11 players. Chayton Benko, Carter Devine, Caleb Diana, Daniel Gonzaga, Liam Hardy, Minjie Kang, Stephen Lemieux, Jamar Lindsay, and Wiley Marcinque. And this group here will be our seniors next year. Last but not least, our grade 12 players, graduating class, Blake Ackerman, Isaac Birdsell Tyndale, Michael Cloud, Riley Gagne, Luke Hornham, Dylan Kiefer, Tucker King, Josh Leonard, Chris Lowry, Nick Bukowski, Kevin Killang, Gary Poisson, Carson Sombach, Mark Smith, Emmett Stedman, and Ethan Viber, who could not be with us today. I'd like to further acknowledge Mr. Doug Hornan for presenting the coaches here with a picture of the team. Thank you, Doug. I'd also like to call upon Mr. Stu here, if you would like to come and address these issues now. You may as well. And then we'll have a couple more items to the program.
Yeah, so we got a couple reminders and cleanup things to do, but before I do that, I wanted to talk about and recognize someone on the team who it was a very tough season for them to be a part of in their grade 12 year, to sit and know that you're injured and not being able to play. When I first heard the news that this was happening, all I could think was, well, I don't want to say it, but to everyone, but that we're losing a key part of our football team. And for all you don't know, so who I'm talking about is Dylan Kiefer. He got injured playing the Canada Cup where they won gold this summer. And he broke his scapula, had surgery, was unable to participate. But knowing that, this day and age, it would have been easy for Dylan just to say, well, I'm injured, I'm not playing, why show up? But being the man he is, He stuck it out, came to practice every day, knowing and wanting to be a part of that team still. And it takes a special person to have that dedication to a team, knowing, because we know you were going to be a player for us, right? And you stuck it out. And that's a very mature, grown-up thing, I think, that all of us coaches wanted to recognize about. So give a hand for Dylan Keefer. Okay, a few of our maintenance stuff. So we'll be looking into getting rings for the provincial championship team. I think there are some displays. That's not necessarily what it's going to be, but all we wanted to kind of find out, because we know that obviously more than likely that the players are not going to be paying for these rings. So we'd want to get the parents' feedback in an amount of a price kind of game. We're looking probably around that $200 to $300 range, more than likely. So, but if, and it's not needed, it's just an extra that if you want a token of the season to have, that we would make that available to you. So feedback on that would be appreciated, because the players can, their design can really make those prices jump up really fast. So that, well, that's just to make the template. So rings after that, it's going to be more. So just talk to our team owner, everyone, and make something happen. Okay, jackets. So some of you have team jackets right now. Now there will be able to get a badge with Provincial Championship 2018, put on those jackets that you currently have. Okay, and so people who put forth orders for the jackets coming this season, they will be getting put on, and I believe we'll probably be able to fit you in and get you a jacket if now you so choose to make the decision that, hey, provincial champions, now I want a jacket. So if that's the case, you need to come talk to myself or Mr. Coos, and we'll get numbers and see if we need to get that taken care of. But badges for your jacket, so everyone who has it, make sure you bring them in so we get numbers and totals for those to get stitched up. There'll be t-shirts, so in the nearby future I think they're kind of designed and being ordered, so t-shirts will be coming, so there'll be a price for that. On next Wednesday is going to be kind of a final team picture. I think we'll take a picture with the trophies and our uniforms, and it will also be for our and take inventory of all the equipment that everybody still is in their possession. So that is happening this coming Wednesday after school. For those of you participating in the Selects program or wanting to, obviously that's starting this weekend, or the first camp is starting this weekend. Students will be able to get their equipment tomorrow at lunch. So they'll come, so bring your bags, and they'll come grab your equipment. We have it all inventoried anyway, and take it for the weekend, but you're going to have to bring it back right for cleaning coming up on Wednesday. So come tomorrow at noon, grab your equipment for those players playing Selects. And remember to get your funds in for our provincial trip. The Fuddruckers players, you know, all know about this. But, right, get your funds in to, well, captains, but Mr. Cruz needs to get paid. So, remember to get all those funds in. Coaches too, I guess. Okay, I think that is everything unless anybody else has anything. Okay, I think that is it. There's a lot to take in. If you have any questions, just come talk to one of the coaches. But yeah, have a good rest of your evening.
Thank you, Mr. Stu. Before I forget, Mrs. Donnelly, who's always so organized, has prepared a list of award winners that is printed and will be sitting on the back table. So for those of you who care to grab one of those leaflets on the way out, please help yourselves. Next up, we're going to show a highlight video that was put together by our captains. One of the things that I forgot to mention when I spoke about Carson Sombach earlier, and I know people talk about, you know, how much time and effort I put into the game film and stuff like that. And I can tell you that when we were playing a game on a Friday night, and I would get home at, you know, 1:30 in the morning and tag game film for an hour, and then get up the next morning at 6 with the dog and start tagging game film, I wouldn't have time to finish my first coffee that I had an email from Carson Sombach saying, is the game film ready? We're going to get the game film from our opponents. So that's the kind of dedication. When I talked about dedication earlier, I should have mentioned that. So my initial reaction was always, for the love of God, can you let me tag the damn thing? But then I thought, you know what? That shows a lot of dedication. He's already preparing for next week, so good on you, Carson. Coach Stu? Coach Stu? have one more thing left on the program. And if you like it, it was my idea. If you don't like it, it was Mr. Coos. Another championship, a banner on the wall. For a title from Marauder football. Against the boldness, Miller answered the call. Centennial never even had a chance at all. It's something unpredictable. In the end, it's right. I hope you have the time of your life. So take your grade 12s and try to play them all. Vibes Bukowski, Blake and Michael Cloud. Big Keith and later, those two are pretty tall. BT and Carson, you just give them the ball. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you have the time of your life. We got a QB playing linebacker. Efficient, steady, our deadly receivers. Here and Larry on defense all the way. Keenan Vice me and Riley Begagne. It's something unpredictable, in the end it's right. I hope you have the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you have the time of your life. Boss lady, did we forget anybody or anything? We're good? Everybody had a good time? Everybody had some good food? Let's give it up one more time for the 2018 4A football provincial champs, Miller Marauder. Drive home safe, folks. Good night.